Okay, I want you to picture a very specific moment.
Mm.
And, honestly,
Mm.
it might be a moment you experienced just last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's the evening. You're technically done for the day. The laptop is closed. Notifications are off.
The house is quiet.
The house is quiet. You sit down on the couch. The task is finished.
Mm.
But here's the thing. Your body sits down, but it doesn't quite arrive.
That's a haunting description, isn't it? But I think almost everyone listening knows exactly what that feels like.
It's that feeling where the mind loosens up a bit, but it stays strangely alert. You aren't doing anything, but you feel like you're waiting for a tap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
It's a tiredness that sleep just doesn't seem to fix. You're sitting there maybe staring at the TV, but you're vibrating at this low frequency.
Exactly. And that sensation, that complete inability to land, is the subject of the essay we're covering today. It's titled The Exhaustion of Constant Availability by the philosopher and writer Pedro Mala. And I think before we even get into the philosophy, we need to be really upfront about who this deep dive is for.
Right. Because usually we're breaking down, complex systems or history. But this feels personal. This is for you if you just nodded your head at that description. The workaholic, even though that word feels a bit dated now, maybe too simple, who feels a kind of flatness, a persistent fatigue, even when things aren't that busy.
But it's not just for them. And Mala is very, very clear about this.
No, and this part is crucial. This is also for the people living with that person. The partners, the spouses, the friends who watch someone they love be physically present in the room.
Same right there.
Sitting right there at the dinner table, but they're somehow mentally absent.
But forever suffering partners.
Exactly. The partners who feel like they're living with a ghost. Mala's essay is, it's really an act of recognition for both sides of that equation.
And that word recognition is so key here. That really is the mission of this deep dive.
Yeah.
Maha isn't offering, a 10-step productivity hack. This isn't a guide to work-life balance. He's offering a diagnosis. He argues we have fundamentally misunderstood the nature of our tiredness. We think we're burnt out because we have too much to do.
Well, that's the logical assumption, right? If I'm tired, it's because I did a lot. If I'm exhausted, I just need to do less stuff.
But what Malha suggests is that the workload isn't the problem, or at least not the root problem.
Okay.
The problem is the shape of the tiredness itself.
Okay, the shape of the tiredness. That sounds poetic. But what does that actually mean?
It refers to that feeling of being finished and unfinished at the same time. And here's the scary part, the bit that sort of defies the workload theory.
Go on.
This feeling persists even when the calendar is clear. You can have a light day, no meetings, no deadlines, and still feel this underlying vibrating fatigue.
Wow.
Because it's not about stress. It's about availability.
I think we need to really unpack that distinction, because I definitely use those words interchangeably. I'll say, I'm so busy, when maybe what I really mean is I'm so available.
And it's a brilliant distinction. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Maha points out that busyness, it has edges.
Edges, like geometric edges.
Think of it like a container. Busyness has a beginning and it has an ending. You have a task, say, writing a report or fixing a leak.
Right.
You do the task is complete. There is a distinct moment of closure where the effort is released. You put the tool down, you close the laptop, the brain gets a signal, done.
Okay, I get that. Effort and then release, the finish line.
But availability.
Yeah.
Availability has no edges. It is a flat line.
So it's just infinite.
It's a state of readiness, one that never switches off. It's a condition where your attention remains partially open, interruptible, and alert, even when absolutely nothing is being asked of you.
That is such a subtle but heavy difference. So busyness is, I am doing something. Availability is,
I could be asked to do something.
yes. And because you could be asked, you never fully turn away.
You never turn away. Malha describes it as listening with one ear open. Or being, and I love this phrase, half turned towards something that has not yet arrived.
It reminds me of, imagine a firefighter. A firefighter actively fighting a blaze is busy. It's intense, exhausting. But when the fire is out, it's out.
Right. Done.
But a sentry, a guard standing at a gate, they're doing anything. They're just standing there. But they can never relax because the threat might come.
That is a perfect analogy. The sentry is available. And just scanning the horizon takes energy. This explains why you can spend a whole Saturday doing nothing, watching Netflix, whatever, and feel completely exhausted by Sunday morning.
You weren't actually resting. You were buffering.
You were waiting.
Waiting.
And this has a profound impact on how we experience time. Mullen notes that when you're in this state of constant availability, empty hours time that should feel like leisure, they start to feel uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable how? Like bored?
No, not bored. Anxious. They feel like they need to be filled. If your internal mode is set to readiness, then having nothing to get ready for feels wrong. It creates this cognitive dissonance.
Oh, I feel this so deeply. If I have a free hour and I'm in that available mode,
Yeah.
I'll check email just to check. Not because I have to. Nobody pinged me. My phone didn't buzz. I go looking for it.
That right there is the trap. And this is one of Malha's most counterintuitive insights. He argues that work expands not just because there's more demand,
Right.
but because availability creates a pressure to justify itself.
Wait, walk me through that. We create work to justify the feeling of availability. That sounds like madness.
It is madness, but it's structural madness. If you are reachable but you aren't occupied, it feels unstable. It creates a subtle unease. You're standing guard like that sentry, but there's no enemy. You feel silly just standing there. So we check Slack, we refresh the feed, we reply to that email that didn't need a reply until Monday.
So we work to shield ourselves from the awkwardness of just being available with nothing to do.
Exactly. We keep working because it's easier than stopping. Stopping feels exposed. If you're working, you're justifying your readiness. See? I'm online because I'm productive.
But if you're just sitting there waiting for a ping that might not come, you feel the full weight of it all.
You do. You feel the weight of the availability without the distraction of the task.
That is wild.
Yeah.
It completely reverses the causality. We don't work long hours just because of demand. We work long hours to cope with the state of being available.
It's a defense mechanism against the discomfort of the open door.
And this isn't just in our heads, right?
Yeah.
This isn't some abstract philosophical concept. Malha talks about how this actually manifests in the body.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just a mental state, it's a physical posture.
It registers in the body long before we recognize it intellectually. And this is where the exhaustion in the title really comes from. Malha lists these very specific physical symptoms that I think listeners will recognize them immediately.
Okay, lay them on us. Let's do a little body scan.
Shoulders that remain subtly lifted even when you're lying on the couch.
The earring shoulders, where they just creep up toward your ears. I catch myself doing that while watching movies.
Exactly. And your breathing, it stays shallow. Malha calls it conserving space for interruption.
That line stuck with me. Conserving space for interruption.
It's like you don't want to exhale fully because you might need that breath to answer a question.
It's the physiology of readiness. Biologically, your nervous system is keeping you in a state of low-grade arousal. It believes it needs to be ready to sprint at any second.
It's the fight or flight mechanism just humming in the background.
Right. In the wild, that's useful if a predator is nearby. But in your living room on a Tuesday.
It's toxic. It's like leaving a car idling in the garage.
And crucially, the nervous system never receives the clear signal that it is safe to power down. And this completely destroys the quality of our rest.
Because rest requires safety. Rest requires edges. Malha makes the point that rest used to mean absence. Think about the pre-digital era. You left the factory, you left the office, you were gone.
You were physically unreachable unless someone called the landline on your kitchen wall. And if you weren't home, you just weren't there.
You were outside the field of demand. But now, rest has taken the shape of waiting. You are physically resting, but your attention is just skimming the surface looking for updates.
Right.
And without that edge, without the boundary of being truly unreachable, rest becomes just a thin pause.
A thin pause. That's such a depressing phrase. It sounds so unnourishing, like a snack instead of a meal.
It is. But it explains why recovery feels impossible. You can't recover if your system is stuck on standby. You're a laptop with the lid closed, but the fan is still spinning.
So we have the physical exhaustion and the mental drain.
Yeah.
But then Malha takes it a step further, and this is where I think it gets really interesting and honestly a bit convicting for me personally.
Yeah.
Well, he talks about how this shifts from just being a bad habit to a moral value. Because, let's be honest, I like being the person who replies fast. I pride myself on it.
Of course.
If someone emails me, I want them to know I'm on it.
And this is the trap of identity. Over time, being reachable stops being just a logistical thing. Like, I have my phone on me, and it starts feeling like a character trait. It acquires moral weight.
Right. Being available means you're a good person, a good employee, a dedicated partner.
That signals care. It signals commitment, reliability. I can always count on them to respond.
And the flip side is that absence, being truly unreachable, it starts to feel like neglect.
Even if no one is actually mad at you,
Right.
it's rarely explicit. No one says, you are a bad person for not replying in 5 minutes, but we learn it through repetition. Prompt responses get a thumbs up. A delay feels like letting someone down.
It becomes internalized. We condition ourselves like Pavlov's dogs, but instead of a bell, it's a notification sound.
It hardens into identity. You become the reliable one, the person who never stops. And from the inside, that feels like character. You tell yourself, this is just who I am. I'm a hard worker. I'm dependable.
But isn't being dependable a good thing? I mean, I want to be reliable. I don't want to be the person who flakes.
Of course, reliability is a virtue, but Mala asks, at what cost? And is it true reliability or is it just responsiveness? Because from the outside, this behavior looks like a choice. And this is where we really need to talk about the impact on relationships.
The forever suffering partner.
Exactly. Let's go there. Because Mala is so sharp on this dynamic, it's not just about the worker, it's about the blast radius. He notes that partners see someone who is always partly elsewhere, someone who struggles to arrive even when they are sitting right there at the dinner table. And the tragedy, the real heartbreak here, is that the partner often mistakes this for preference. They think, you love your work more than you love me, or you'd rather be checking email than talking to me. Right. They interpret it as a priority issue. If you cared, you'd put the phone down. But Mala suggests it's actually a condition of erosion.
Erosion.
Yeah.
As in something being worn away.
It's not that the person wants to be checking email, it's that they are trapped in readiness. They've lost the ability to close the door. Their capacity for presence has been eroded by the constant state of, could it be needed?
There's that devastating line in the essay, one partner lives inside readiness and the other lives alongside it.
It's a heartbreaking image. Dependability has replaced presence.
Yeah.
You might be the most reliable provider in the world, but you've become a ghost in your own home because you can't fully land.
You are everywhere and nowhere at once.
Everywhere and nowhere at once. That is the definition of the modern condition, isn't it? We're spread so thin that we're transparent.
It really is. And it brings us to the structural reality of all this. Mala talks about the loss of absence. And to be clear, he doesn't mean, running away to a desert island.
No, he's not talking about escaping your responsibilities. He's not saying, go live in a cave.
Right.
No. He defines true absence as time where nothing is expected, nothing is awaited, and no justification is required. It's a structural condition that allows presence to have shape.
I love that idea. That presence needs absence to have shape.
Think about it. If you are never truly gone, you are never truly here, presence just thins out.
Like butter scraped over too much bread.
Exactly. To borrow from Tolkien. Without absence, without those moments of being truly unreachable, where the world literally cannot get to you, we thin out. Our attention spreads until it's ineffective everywhere.
And here's the part that I think is most important for anyone listening who is beating themselves up right now.
Right.
Because I can just hear people thinking, okay, so I'm a bad partner, I'm a stress ball, I'm doing it all wrong.
Right.
But Malha says, this isn't entirely your fault.
And this is a crucial point. This isn't just a failure of boundary setting. It's not because you're weak-willed or you lack discipline. It is the logical response to a world that values readiness over arrival.
We don't work too much because we want to.
We work too much because availability doesn't let us stop. The exhaustion is a structural outcome, not a personal flaw. The tools we use are designed to keep that door open. The culture rewards the open door.
So our nervous system is just trying to survive in the environment it's been placed in.
That's it, exactly.
That is such a relief to hear, but it's frustrating. Because if it's structural, if it's the water we swim in, how do we fix it? Does Malha offer a way out?
Well, he doesn't give us a top 5 tips to unplug list. He doesn't say, buy a lockbox for your phone.
Thank goodness. I'm so tired of those lists.
And I think that would just be cheapening the insight, really. Instead, he ends with longing. He says what this exhaustion really points to is a longing for edges.
A longing for edges.
A longing for time that doesn't need to be justified. It's not about being lazy. It's not about slacking off. It's about wanting to be able to be somewhere, fully somewhere, without also being reachable elsewhere.
And the first step, according to Malha, isn't a solution at all. It's recognition.
Recognition, just realizing that this is what is happening. Recognizing that you aren't tired because you did too much. You're tired because you never closed the loop. You never turned off the sentry mode.
And recognizing that this moral weight we attach to being reachable, that feeling that we are good because we are fast, is actually a trap.
It's a shared condition. We've all been living inside this together, and we've been mistaking it for personal stress.
Exactly. And until we recognize availability as this distinct state, separate from work, separate from busyness, we can't really address it. We'll just keep trying to sleep it off. But sleep doesn't cure readiness.
Sleep doesn't cure readiness. If you take one thing away from this deep dive, let it be that. You can't recover if you don't stop waiting.
So as we wrap up, we usually like to leave the listener with a thought to chew on, something that takes this recognition and pushes it a little further.
Well, Mala asks us to strip away the moral weight of reachability. So I would ask the listener this. If you took away the goodness of being available, if you stopped believing that being reachable made you a better person, employee, or partner, who would you be in the moments where you were truly unreachable?
Wow.
Would you even know how to be absent? Or has the readiness become so much of who you are that you wouldn't know what to do with the silence?
That is a scary question. Do I know how to be absent? Or would I just sit there waiting for the feeling of being needed to come back?
It's the question we have to answer if we want to get our presence back.
I think I'm going to be thinking about that all evening, hopefully, while I actually arrive on my couch.
Let's hope so.
That is it for this deep dive into Pedro Malha's The Exhaustion of Constant Availability. A heavy, but I think a necessary recognition for us and the people we live with. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.